They always ask me the same question. Do you know who you're sewing for? And I always give the same answer. No, and I don't want to. But that's a lie, because sometimes after the masks come off and the champagne dries, I do recognize the faces. Sometimes it's a politician I've seen trembling behind a podium on the 6 o'clock news. Sometimes it's a man who owns entire cities but pretends to be invisible. And once, it was someone whose funeral I watched on live television. My name is Eleanor. I'm 78 years old. And for the last 30 years, I've been making masquerade costumes, not for Halloween or theater, but for them, the people who don't exist on paper. The ones who... It started innocently. I used to sew ballet costumes for my granddaughter's school. Silk, feathers, a bit of sparkle. Then one day, a man in a gray coat came to my door. He said he'd heard of my work, said he needed something discreet, custom, timeless, and impossible to trace. I made the costume, no questions asked. A week later, a box showed up on my porch. Inside was a black envelope with cash, more than I made in 2 years. After that, the requests kept coming, always through notes, never signed, measurements, fabric samples, strange sketches, often symbolic, sometimes unnerving. I never met them, not face to face, until one day I did. And from that moment on, I stopped pretending I didn't know. Because behind the velvet and gold, behind the beaks and horns and mirrors, I've seen the truth. And tonight, I'll show you what they hide. My workshop isn't grand. It's a converted sunroom in the back of my old Victorian house. Creaky floors, faded wallpaper, and a single iron sewing machine that's older than most of my clients. But when I close the door, it becomes a different world. Bolts of fabric line the walls, velvet, brocade, lace, leather dyed so dark it drinks the light. Drawers filled with buttons, bones, beads, mirrors, and a long oak table stained with decades of dye, blood from pricked fingers, and traces of things I can no longer identify. There are no clocks in here. Time doesn't matter when you're working for them. Orders arrive like rituals. A courier will knock, never speak, and leave behind a sealed case. Inside, handwritten specs, always with code names. The swan, the sleeper, the red mouth, measurements taken with unsettling precision. Sometimes, strange notes. Make sure it breathes. Do not use silver. Leave the eyes hollow. I never ask why. Each mask is made from something unique, not just fabric. I've sewn with hair, scales, wax, fur. Once even what I swear was dried skin. Some of it feels alive when I touch it. Warm, reactive, like it remembers. And the smell, my God, the smell of some materials, sweet and rancid at the same time, like perfume that's gone bad mixed with rot. Still, I work, because when the package arrives, you finish it. That's the rule. Even if the instructions make your hands shake, even if the mask you're sewing seems to stare at you when your back is turned. And when the costume's complete, I place it in the drop box by midnight, always midnight. Next morning, it's gone. No thank you, no note, just silence, and the lingering scent of something expensive and wrong. I don't go to the parties, but I've seen them. Limousines pulling into driveways at odd hours, figures stepping out dressed as animals, angels, dolls. No talking, just laughter, but not the joyful kind. Something else, sharp, hollow, performed. And every so often, I'll turn on the news and see a face I know. A senator, a CEO, standing in a press conference, wearing the exact same tilt of the head as the fox I stitched 6 months earlier. I wonder if they remember me, if they remember the mask, or if, just maybe, they never took it off at all. The first time I broke the rules was 5 years ago. A courier dropped off a request labeled The Weeping Saint. No sketch this time, just instructions. White velvet, black lace trim, no eye holes, stitch mouth shut. It unsettled me, not just the design, but the feeling that came with it. Like the paper was vibrating. I made the costume, carefully, silently, but as I worked, my fingertips began to go numb. Every time I touched the velvet, a chill ran up my spine, like I was sewing something that didn't want to be touched. When I finished, I couldn't bring myself to bag it like I usually did. Instead, I placed it on the dress form in the center of the room. And that night, I heard footsteps upstairs, even though I live alone. The next morning, there were footprints on the floor, small, barefoot, dusty, leading in a circle around the mannequin. I burned sage, crossed myself, but nothing changed. The next night, I watched through the window as a car idled down the block. Long and black, tinted glass. didn't move for an hour, then drove away without anyone ever getting out. That was the first time I felt truly watched. I delivered the Weeping Saint the next night, but something stayed behind. I started dreaming in languages I don't speak: Latin, Arabic, Russian. One night I woke up reciting a phrase over and over: facies mene, corpus mutatur. I had to look it up. The face remains, the body changes. After that, I kept working, but now I kept records. A notebook hidden beneath the floorboards. Each entry has a name, a sketch, the materials, and a note about what I felt while working. Sometimes it's physical: headache, nosebleed, vertigo. Sometimes it's emotional: dread, grief, fury. The worst was the Beast Bride, a crimson velvet gown lined with fur and stitched entirely with black thread soaked in some kind of oil they provided. Thick, almost sticky. It smelled like pine and rust. Instructions were specific: do not complete before sunset. Stitch the heart last. The zipper must not close. I finished it an hour before midnight, and at that exact moment, every light in the house flickered off. Just for 3 seconds, then came back. The clock on the wall stopped at 11:59, and it still stopped. I never took the dress upstairs, left it folded in the box, taped it shut with trembling hands. But later that week on the news, I saw her, the woman in the dress. Same cut, same thread, same impossibly red velvet, standing beside a European royal, smiling like nothing in the world was wrong. Only her eyes didn't blink. Not once, not during the entire 7-minute interview. 3 months ago, I received a delivery that wasn't like the others. No box, no courier, just a small envelope slid under my door in the middle of the night. Inside was a single Polaroid, black and white, grainy. A man in a bird mask standing in front of what looked like a chapel, burned to the ground. On the back, "Make this, you'll know how." That was all. No measurements, no name, no deadline. But they were right. I did know. I found myself sketching it without even thinking. The lines flowed like I'd made it before. I remembered textures I'd never touched, fabrics that didn't exist in any store. It felt channeled, like my hands weren't entirely mine anymore. I made the mask first, jet black, long beak, stitched from something I still can't identify. Not fabric, not leather, something in between. Then came the robe, layers of fabric, all scorched at the hem. I didn't burn them. They arrived like that. And at the chest, a hollow circle, empty, like it was waiting for something. I didn't sleep for days. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that figure standing at the end of my hallway. The robe, the mask, but the eyes no longer hidden. It was someone I knew. Not someone close, not someone personal, but someone famous, respected. A face I'd seen behind podiums and parades. I checked the news obsessively, and then one night there it was. He was there, wearing it, at some kind of event. Private, blurry photo, the mask unmistakable, the burn marks, the hollow circle at the chest. And the caption? Key advisor to disappear amid corruption scandal. Vanished, no trace. And I couldn't shake the feeling that the robe had something to do with it. Like I'd made more than clothing, like I'd finished something ancient. That night, I found a second Polaroid in my mailbox. Same man, same mask. But now he was kneeling, surrounded by others in costumes I'd made over the last 5 years. And below it, written in what looked like ash, "We remember, you are part of this now." I stopped sewing for a while after that, closed the blinds, unplugged the machine, burned they kept coming. Not packages, people. I'd see them outside my house at night, silhouettes, still, waiting, never knocking, never speaking, just waiting. And I knew what for. They wanted me to finish what I started, but I couldn't bring myself to touch the cloth anymore. My hands would tremble, my breath would catch, because now I saw every stitch for what it was: complicity. I'd told myself for years that I was just a seamstress, that I didn't know, that I didn't ask. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. Not after the second year, not after the first mask that moved on its own. I knew I wasn't making costumes. I was making identities, new skins for people who wanted to become something else or hide something they couldn't bury. And I was good at it, too good. I started recognizing patterns, ritualistic cuts, symbols that repeated. Clients who returned under new names, but with the same measurements, same posture, same requests. I kept a journal in secret, tried to map connections, dates, events, disappearances. But the deeper I dug, the more I realized I wasn't on the outside of something terrible. I was at its center, Some of the names in my ledger started showing up in obituaries. Others just vanished, erased. And then 2 weeks ago, I found something under my sewing table. A mask, one I hadn't made, stitched from deep navy silk with a single red teardrop embroidered under the right eye. Inside it, a note. "This one's for you. I haven't touched it, but I feel it watching me, like it's waiting for the moment I accept it. Slip it on, join them." Some nights I wake up standing by the table, hand outstretched. I don't know how much longer I can resist. And the worst part, I'm not sure I want to. Because when I wore that red velvet robe, when I sewed that hollow circle in silence, I felt something. Power, purpose, belonging. Maybe that's the curse. Not the masks themselves, but what they awaken in you. Sometimes I wonder if I ever had a choice, or if I was chosen the moment I threaded that first needle. Maybe they saw something in me, or maybe they just needed hands that didn't ask too many questions. But I keep going back to that note. This one's for you. It wasn't a threat, it wasn't a warning, it was an invitation. And every night since, I hear the faint rustle of silk. I see shadows where there shouldn't be any. Sometimes I wake to the sound of fabric tearing, even though nothing is moving. And sometimes I catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror and swear the mask is already on. Not visible, not sewn, but present. Because once you become part of their world, once you help someone shed their face and step into another, you can't go back. The mask clings, even after you take it off. So now I ask you, if someone handed you a mask, one that made you disappear or become anyone else, would you wear it? If you knew it came at a cost you wouldn't see until it was too late? Because that's the real question. Not who they are behind the mask, but who you become when you help them hide. And if this story unsettled you, if something in your gut feels twisted and tight right now, then maybe you've worn a mask too. Maybe not silk, maybe not velvet, but something that lets you blend in, disappear, escape. So stay with me. Subscribe if you want to hear what happened to the man who asked me to make a costume stitched entirely from human hair. That story connects to another client, one I only recognized when I saw his face on a body pulled from the bottom of the ocean. Like the video, if you've ever felt like the world has shadows we're not supposed to see. And leave a comment if you've ever worn something that made you feel like someone else. Because in this world, masks don't just hide us. Sometimes they choose us.